Well, that video I released earlier today, it's my thoughts, my first blush thoughts on the shocking court order issued today by a liberal partisan who lost his election and was appointed to the courts by Jean Chrétien. His name is Adam Germain. And what's troubling to me is that just a couple of hand-picked judges in Alberta have been given all the lockdown cases. And I can't think it's a coincidence that they chose two of the most heavy-handed authoritarian judges to do it. And Adam Germain, the fact that he was a liberal partisan probably doesn't say as much as just the fact that he is clearly a total believer in all lockdownism, and he has a deep despise for anyone who thinks differently, who has a different opinion. And I think the fact that Artur Pawlowski is stubborn, he is, and Christian, he is, and won't bend the knee, he won't. I think there's a real personal vendetta there. And I was sort of surprised, I'll be honest, that Artur Pawlowski was not sentenced to prison, because the government of Alberta, Jason Kenney's prosecutors, were slobbering, salivating over the prospect. They demanded he be jailed for 21 days. Now, the judge didn't do that. I think he knew that would create an international shockwave. And the media was very much on the judge's mind. He referred to Pastor Arthur's media appearances, including on Fox News, that clearly bothered the judge. So the judge didn't say, "I'm going to throw you in jail," but he did something much worse. He said, anytime you say anything in public about the lockdowns, the pandemic, the vaccine, you must immediately correct yourself by saying to the world what I tell you to say. I've just never seen anything like it in my life. And joining us now is our reporter, chief reporter, who was covering this live, watching the hearing on video and live tweeting it, our good friend Sheila Gunn Reid, who joins us now. Sheila, great to see you.
Hey, boss. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, come on. It's a pleasure. And you were listening to this. It was basically a 45-minute, I call it a rant, by Justice Germain. Is that how? So, the parties were represented, the lawyers stood up, and the judge basically rattled off 45 minutes of his thoughts. Was he reading from a script, or did it seem off the cuff?
No, he did have prepared notes. He did cite specific things from that Pastor Art had said in the past. He took great umbrage with Pastor Art's statement to the court that he made last appearance before sentencing. He said it was a taunt. He said it was vicious. Now, we've published that statement in full. Art provided that to us. People can read for themselves what this judge thinks was vicious. And what Art did in that statement was quote the Bible, cite his experience growing up in post-Nazi and Soviet Poland, but also pointing out the hypocrisy of the government, specifically Jason Kenney, who violated the same order that Art was arrested under when he held his meeting up on the Sky Palace, that private dining club that they have up on Sky Palace. So, the judge, he had a very specific list of things that he referred to. He said that because of the ability of Chris Scott, who was also sentenced today, and the Pawlowskis to fundraise, that they would require strict and steep fines. That's what they got today. And AHS was awarded costs. So, it reminds me of, the Soviets charging you for the bullet by which they kill you.
Yeah, I added up the costs. It was around 40 or 50 grand that these pastors have to pay. That's obviously going to come from money that they could instead spend on their real work, which is public service. I was following along your live tweeting of the judge's rant, and it's clear he wanted to jail them. Like, it's just so clear I was reading everything you were transcribing, and I thought, oh my God. I thought for sure, not only are these guys going to get jail time, I thought 40 days. And the only reason I can think of that he didn't do that is because this judge is so political. Remember, he used to be a liberal politician, that he's probably obsessed with all media coverage, as politicians are. I bet he's watched every single video you've made. That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.